brother.
Hey, my man. How's it going?
Really good. Really good. How are you?
I'm good, dude. I'm really good. I had a really enjoyable day today. Was doing some demolition work, knocking down some walls, trying to do that with the least resistance possible. That was fun. Um, and yeah, happy to be here.
So did you work with like a sledgehammer and
Yeah, yeah. Dude, it's a lot of fun. Also, like, have to be very aware, otherwise, like, shit can go wrong very quickly. And then, like, trying to be you know, like smart about how you dismantle things rather than just getting the sledgehammer and just going after it. Um, but yeah, it's just super cool, man. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Never done it before, and so it's a cool new experience.
heck yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself? What are you up to?
Yeah, I went to the shop today, worked on we have a truck with a lift on it and there's like a little hydraulic leak, so we were trying to diagnose that and try to figure out where that came from. Um and yeah, tree work it's funny because you think it's just tree work, but there's so much more to it. You become a mechanic, landscaper and working on fences and taking care of people's properties. But yeah, it was a good day. Good day. My brother-in-law went to the gym and had a nice workout and sauna after, and getting ready to fly back to Phoenix tomorrow. So
Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm excited to see you. I should be there Sunday.
heck yeah.
So, yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun. Um, but in regards to what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to discuss the concepts of another book today. This book fucking changed my life, man. Like, it was the first book that I read that I felt very connected to it based off the fact that like I receive I receive like radical authenticity like really well. Some people find it challenging to receive that type of like authenticity because like it can be challenging to like to hear the certain things. Like it's like poking and prodding at your ego and like poking and prodding at like the programs inside of us. And that can be hard for some people, but I love that shit. I love like it smacking me in the face and being like, oh wow. And like this author and this book did exactly that. Um, and I really enjoyed it. And so the book is called Awareness. That's by Anthony de Mello. And I've shared this book with so many people. Everyone loves it. Again, some find it very challenging, but ultimately love it. And so I'm excited to like talk about these concepts because, I mean, again, it's been such a big influence on my life, and I'm excited for you, like for you to go through this as well. I mean, I know you haven't read this, and so this would be a cool introduction, and I'm sure it's going to make you want to read it. So it's going to be sweet.
Absolutely. So to give some people some context, like at what period in your life did you read it?
Good question. So the first like book I would say that I read that really changed my life was The Power of Now, and that was in 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2018, 2019. And then I probably read this like 2020. So like that, like reading The Power of Now kind of got me into the groove of like, all right, I kind of want to digest like more books like this. Um, and so yeah,
Were you in Europe when you read it then?
yeah, I did. I found The Power of Now in a like street little like sale in Bulgaria in English. Just before I got on the train from Bulgaria to Turkey, where we came across this like little market in the street, and I found The Power of Now there. Insane, dude! Like so
That's
cool.
wild.
Like hardly any English books, and there was that one book. It was like put there for me. I'm certain of it. Um, and then how many people I've given that book to since then. But yeah, when I awareness, I am pretty sure I got when I was in Australia or when I just got back to America after Australia, something like that. So uh, yeah, and again, it's it's pretty cool, like learning about like the author because it's one of those things, right? You get introduced to these people who write these books or TED talks or whatever it is, man. And you don't really know much about them. You just read their words and you resonate with their words. But it's really cool to kind of like learn more about the people. And so I'll start by just sharing a little bit about Anthony de Mello. So he was a Jesuit priest, psychotherapist, and spiritual teacher. He was born in India in 1931. He was deeply shaped by both Eastern and Western traditions. So he drew a lot from like Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Sufism. He had a rare gift for cutting through religious dogma to get at something raw and universal. He ran retreats and workshops across the world, blending meditation, storytelling, and like sharp psychological insight in a way that could make you laugh one moment and completely make you question yourself the next. He died in 1987, but left behind a body of work that continues to wake people up decades later. His book, Awareness, that we're going to talk about today, is essentially a transcript of one of the final retreat talks that he gave. And it's kind of what I loved about like the book the most. Like two things was just like the format, because it is just a speech, right? It's pretty much just like the transcripts from a speech that he gave. And so it's just very like flowy. And he's just like doesn't fucking back off. You know what I mean? Like he like there's a lot of spiritual texts out there that like soften blows. He doesn't fucking soften any blows, dude. um, I find that in my life, more often than not, I don't soften blows, but there are times that I do. And I think at times it's serving. But if I was to write a book, I wouldn't be softening blows. I mean, something that has been very real for me in my life is realizing that, like, once you've suffered enough, then you'll change. And so, man, I want the blows fucking big. Like, blow me up, dude, so I can fucking, see the light, wake up and change. Right. And so that's what I really enjoyed about his way of writing and just the way he would express himself in general. Um,
Yeah, there's been a couple moments in the space we created where I've noticed you kind of flip the switch and like you're like, yeah, I'm not softening this blow, and it gets me pumped. I love it.
yeah, dude. I mean, it's like my biggest teacher in that department has been Kat for sure. Like I've realized I can't talk to Kat the way I would talk to me. Like it doesn't elicit the same response. And so it's been a learning curve, with her. Um, it's not like I'm trying to teach her something, but if I want to get an idea across and for her to understand something, I need to be aware enough in that moment to communicate it in a way that she can absorb it. I really enjoy, don't get me wrong, I enjoy that. I enjoy that challenge,
Mm.
but I get super pumped when I can just like let it rip, and people are able to take it. The cool part is like she is able to like take that at times, and so I'm getting better at like with knowing when to just let it rip. So that's been fun as well. But yeah, hopefully we can let it rip today in this episode and connect to some of DeMello's energy as we cover these topics.
Yeah, I think that because I can, I relate to being, blown up on. Like it gets me going too. I think maybe it comes from the background in playing sports. When you have a coach at a young age. Because I mean, I coached for 8 years. I see myself coaching in the future, and I think, yeah, I think there's a value to that, to being able to, not tear somebody down, but just like deliver a message in a way where it's going to be received and remembered. I think that's
Yeah, dude,
the key.
that's a really good point, dude. And I really like the way you like express that. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not. It's never bringing anyone down, but it's like if everyone was able to receive what was being said without taking it personally, awesome. You know what I mean? But again, that's challenging, especially when it's someone that you're really, really close to. Normally, they're the people that we find that harder to kind of take what they have to say. But I mean, that's the practice, right? That's the work. And so I really just love like people just to be their authentic self, say what the fuck they want to say. I'm not going to take it personally, even if they want me to take it personally. I'm not going to, and so yeah, I really enjoy that space when I'm with someone and we can just go back and forth and just be as like again just real, right? Like really fucking real, raw, and unfiltered. Um, is a space I love to inhabit. And so I think it's funny you say sports. I never really thought about it that way, but I mean that got me really comfortable in that space. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
you'll get chewed out quite often.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
things.
Yeah, made me good at like taking what I wanted to take and knew I could apply, and just the rest just kind of pushing it to the side, realizing that that's just them being egoic and angry or whatever it was, you know. But it's like if you can just express yourself without the anger, the fear, and all that other stuff, and just express yourself very authentically, then that's kind of what I'm talking, and that's what I feel De Mello does really well. Um, you guys will get a taste of it as I we read out some of the stuff from his book, but so we'll start off with the central message of the book. So the entire book rests on one idea, which is almost every human being is walking through their life in a state of unawareness, essentially sleepwalking. We think we are aware, but we are running on programming, conditioning, and illusions. And so, like, throughout the book, he'll just say, "Wake up." You know, he would just fucking like, I don't know. I always took it as like shouting at people, like, "Wake up, man, wake up." It's a big premise of the book. But I mean, what he says is something that, I mean, I agree. And when I say other people, I am the other people, right? Like, I witnessed myself sleepwalking through life. I witnessed myself completely unaware that I was unaware. um, and the shift of realizing that and becoming aware of that fact was such a big shift, man. Like witnessing the observer, witnessing your thoughts, like that was such like a revolutionary experience for me when I had it. And I'm pretty sure it is for everyone, dude, when they first have that experience of like not being their thoughts, not being their emotions, but being the observer of them. Um, which is essentially what we're talking about when we talk about awareness. Uh, yeah, that was life changing. What comes up for you?
Well, first thing that comes up is Ramez, who you had on this podcast, just screaming, "Wake up!" You know, that's the first thing that comes up for me. But
Oh, dude, that's so much fun, man.
it really is, yeah. No, and the second thing is, I think, and I need to do this more, but I think just like reflecting, like the idea of like reflecting or maybe even goal setting on like
Mm.
things, when you take a step back and look at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and where you want to go, can be very, very, powerful.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah,
For sure. Um, dude, you got me thinking now about Ramez. So epic story, right? So about the whole wake up thing. I'm not sure if I told you this, but I'm going to tell it again anyway
I
because
think you have, but
everyone needs to hear this. Everyone needs to hear this. This is like a real life example of how like radical authenticity in a moment can completely like shift your life or someone else's around you. And so Ramez was in Dallas and he went out to a party one night and was just pumped up, right? I mean, as he normally is. And for those of you that don't know Ramez, it's okay. Hopefully, you will one day. But go check out the episode we did with him. It's called "When Purpose Meets Profession." It's really cool. But this guy is just his energy is insane, man, and he's just kind of like a wall socket that you can kind of like plug into and just like recharge your battery anytime you want. And again, there's moments where we help him recharge his battery, but more often than not, his battery's recharging us. Anyway, so he goes out one night in Dallas and is pumped up, dude. Walks into wherever he's going and just starts like on the dance floor, dancing and just screaming at the top of his lungs, "Wake up! Let's wake up, man! Wake up!" Right? Just like looking at people in the eyes and just like just getting after it. Anyway, fast forward years later, right? We're at Burning Man, me and him. We're at a sunrise set, and we start like moving, or like we're dancing together, and this guy comes up to Ramez and was like, "You don't know me, but I know you." And Ramez is like, "What do you mean? Like, tell me more." It's like, "All right." He's like, "Years ago, you walked into a club in Dallas." He's like, "And before I got to the club, I'd taken some mushrooms. It was the first time I'd taken mushrooms." He's like, "I arrive at the club." It's like, and then you walk in. And before you even said anything, my eyes were just like fixed on you. Like, I don't know, like your energy, something was going on. He's like, and then you started like dancing and just screaming at the top of your lungs, "Wake up." wake up. He's like, and you came around towards me. You looked at me. He's like, and you told me to wake up. And he's like, dude, like that hit me in a way that I can't explain in words. He's like, I've been going through some stuff in my life up until that point. Hence me taking mushrooms. I wanted to get some answers. He's like, and you were my answer that night, pretty much. He's like, everything changed for me after that. I quit my job and just pretty much goes on to tell Ramez about like everything that's happened since that point, right? Like big changes, man. And he even said, he's like, I saw you at last Burning Man. And just to let people know, like Burning Man's like 50, 60, 70,000 people. You don't just like it's not easy just to see people there, right? Like even if you like organize to try and meet people somewhere, it's still difficult to. There's so many people and it's a big space. It's a very big space, right? And so the fact that he ran into there was divine in that moment. But he actually saw him as like the last Burning Man, but didn't go up to him because he's like, I think he said something like, you were talking to someone. He's like, and I just realized that it wasn't time yet. He's like, but now it was time. I was like, dude, this story, I got pumped up, dude. Me and Ramez lost our minds. You can imagine how much energy that gave Ramez. He just started running and doing laps around the fucking dance floor. But yeah, dude, I mean, what a perfect story for this episode. Super cool. Super, super cool. Um, but yeah, I had to share that with you. So thanks for bringing that up.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah, it's great. You want to read the
Yeah,
second
second
part?
part.
Yeah.
Nobody is responsible for how you feel, ever. De Mello insists that no person, situation, or event makes you feel anything. Your feelings come entirely from your own programming and attachments. Blaming others for your emotional state is, to him, a sign of being asleep.
Hmm. I mean, preach, dude. Yeah, I agree 100%. Questions that I would normally ask people after I asked myself these questions. Very powerful questions for me was like, who's in charge of your happiness and who's in charge of your sadness? And it's a very obvious answer. It's like I am, right? Like I'm in charge of my happiness. I'm in charge of my sadness. And it's like, well, why is it at times we lie to ourselves and tell us that that's not the case? Well, this person did that, and this person made me angry because they did that, and whatever it is, this person made me really happy because they did this, and you know, again, something else that really drastically changed my life was taking ownership, which is pretty much what he's saying, right? He's just like, take fucking ownership, man. Like you're not a victim. None of us are victims, right? And you know, the biggest comeback I think people have for that sometimes is like, oh, but like, what if you get physically harmed, right? You get beat up or you get raped or like these things that happen to people, right? That are very hard things to talk about. A lot of them. Um, like what about that? He's like, is that me as well? And it's like, well, no, but like, it's not that you had control over what's happened. You have control over how you feel about it, right? Like you have control about um, how you react to what has happened, right? And I'm not here to say it's easy and how you should feel or how you shouldn't feel. That's not what I'm here to do. What I am here to do is hopefully share some like empowering words and energy with you, which is there are people that have experienced the worst things that we think are the worst things possible that have turned that into the most like loving um lessons that they've ever learned, right? And they'll tell you that I'm so happy that that happened to me. The same thing that someone else will turn around and say, I'll never be the same and I can't believe that happened to me, right? And what's interesting is like that can be two like those two sentences can be said from the same person at one point and at a different point in their lives, right? And so, but ultimately, yes, ultimately it is up to us, and I think it's empowering for us to take responsibility for that, um, and not judge ourselves or give ourselves a hard time if we can't, you know, feel the way that we desire to feel in a certain moment. And sometimes just doing that allows us to shift into the vibration that we want to be in. So, what about
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, what comes up for me is, yeah, the kind of the same, what you were saying is, people are affected differently by different things. And Um, Again, not trying to say that anyone, should feel a certain way, but, you have a lot of people in our society that, you know, say they're depressed or anxious, and they kind of attach to that. Um, and then they spiral a little bit, they're like, oh, well, I'm depressed, and then so they just feel bad, and that's their excuse. Like, well, I'm depressed or I have anxiety. Um, and again, not saying it's easy, and not trying to, you know, uh, put light on anybody's situation that they're going through or that they have gone through, um, but just understanding that there is another choice that you can make, I think is super powerful. Like, you can choose, regardless of the anxiety or depression you feel, you can, observe that feeling, but also you can kind of choose to do things and take action to, bring yourself joy. And that's real too.
Yeah, it is, dude. It's like in the spirit of this conversation, it's like we so easily identify to shit, man. Like, um, and I'm just gonna be, real with you guys. Like this idea of like depression being a disease and anxiety being a disease as if you caught it from somewhere or something is insane, man. Right? Like you don't catch it and it's not a disease. It's a repetition of thoughts and feelings. It's all it is, man. It's all anxiety is and it's all depression. It's a repetition of thought and feelings, either based in the past or based in the future. Either way, based in non-realities. And as soon as we give our like this power away, as if like, and we say it in sentences like, I am depressed. It's like, no, you're not depressed. You may be feeling feelings of depression right now, but you are not depressed. Like that is not who you are or what you are, right? And just being much more, I feel, again, not a victim and taking ownership and expressing that, like, not only in the actions that you take, but in the words that you use is like really important. Um, I I try to do my best to be like very aware of like how I communicate certain things. Like I used to say the word need a lot. I say the word need very rarely now because I mean, how often should you use the word need? Like how many, like what do you actually need? Right. And things like this, right? Like, and like what I just said, like I will never tell myself that I am depressed or I am angry. It's like, no, I'm having feelings of anger. I'm having thoughts of anger, but I am not anger. I am not angry. Right. And again, that's very helpful for me. But yeah.
Yeah, man, the power of language is something that you taught me a lot about, and I think, yeah, you're an inspiration for me. Is just, using different words, and yeah, something I'm working on for sure.
It's like something I noticed that like naturally changes, right? It's like as our awareness continues to morph and evolve, like our language has to evolve with it because it no longer makes sense to us to say that same word we used to say. And so we have to find different words that are more aligned with how we feel now. And it's a beautiful process. Sometimes it's really difficult to find the words. Um, and then like I'll speak to someone else that speaks a different language and like, oh yeah, we have a word for that. And I'm like, fuck, English just doesn't have a word for it. There's other languages that do have words for it, which is really cool. But oh, all right. Um, what is awareness? De Mello says awareness means observing yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, desires, and fears, without judgment and without identification. You watch yourself the way you'd watch a movie. You are the observer, not the character on screen. So yeah, man, I mean, it aligns with kind of what I said before about awareness and what I think awareness is. It's yeah, so I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. He there's also another side of awareness that happens like in the moment, which I think is what he's kind of talking about. He's not really talking about on reflection, but yeah, pretty much in the moment, right? So like being able to observe self. I kind of call it like I'm up here, right? So like I'm up here and I'm kind of watching everything that's happening, kind of like what he said, right? You're watching a movie, watching your thoughts, watching the way you act, watching the feelings that come up for you, and at the same time, what's really cool and crazy, that's again hard to explain, is like the state of being where you're watching everything, including the other person and the other person's thoughts and the other person's feelings, and you can pick up on all of it. And like that's been like a crazy experience for me to have and accept as like the way it is, right? Because the mind wants to get involved and being like, oh, you don't know what they're feeling and you don't know what they're thinking and stuff like that. But it's like it's so interesting, like when I'm in that state, how fucking accurate it is. If I just shut the fuck up and don't say anything and just let them continue to talk, they tell me everything that I'm observing, right? Um, and that's a super cool state, man. Have you ever like felt anything like that or had that experience?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, like everything, it's never 100%. I'm the observer. I
Yeah.
definitely many times throughout my days, even recently, you have a thought and then you let that thought kind of spiral and then you kind of go down a rabbit hole. But it always is nice to catch yourself and then just be like, oh, like that thought doesn't define me. It doesn't have to define me. It doesn't have to define my brain. Just and then just kind of take a step back, and that is super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And like for those, I'm trying to keep it open for all and accessible for all. Like, so for those that like don't know what the fuck we're talking about, um, don't know what it is to be the observer, right? Like when we say those words, it perhaps like doesn't make any sense or like it kind of makes sense. You're just not sure whether you've experienced it, yes or like yet or not. Um, my invitation to you would be to sit in a room, in a silent room with your eyes closed and just like focus on your breath and just do that for 10 minutes a day. And pretty soon you'll have the exact experience we're talking about. I mean, it really is that simple. I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
it's easy, but it's really that simple. Get rid of all
What?
distraction, close your eyes, focus on one thing, and then you'll just observe all the other things coming in. You'll observe yourself attaching to them, you'll observe yourself detaching from them. Then you'll observe yourself just observing. And I mean, it's just, you'll get the myriad of everything. Um, and if it doesn't happen the first time or second time, that's fine. Just keep doing it again and again and again with no agenda. You're not going there like trying to achieve something. You're just going there, sitting down and focusing on your breath as best you can. That's all you're going to do. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, I think one of our first episodes we touched a lot more on that. I don't remember if it was a full episode on meditation, but it might have been. Yeah, one of like episode 2 or 3 or
Yeah,
something like
we're talking about like reprogramming,
repro.
and we're talking about how like meditation is a tool for reprogramming. And so
Right.
yeah, like if you haven't heard that episode, definitely go back and listen to that episode because we get into it a bit more. Um, but yeah, it's a really cool, simple thing you can do to realize that you are not your mind and you are not your body, um, but you are the awareness, right? You are the one that observes. And so, what's next?
Concept of attachment. De Mello argues that all human suffering comes from attachment, not just to things, but to people, identities, opinions, and outcomes. He makes a sharp distinction between love and attachment, arguing that what most people call love is actually dependency and possession.
I mean, this guy's knocking it out of the park. I mean, let's be honest, man. Like, that's why I love this guy so much. Just very, very straight to the point. Yes, uh, I agree completely. All suffering comes from attachment, identification. I use those words kind of synonymously. But without that, I mean, what suffering is there beyond physical suffering? But again, even physical suffering can be put down to identification and attachment. And like, what do you mean by that? Well, like in order for the physical pain to continue, like everyone's had this experience. Let me just say this first. Everyone's had this experience, right? Like you get hurt, something hurts, right? Whether you get a burn on your finger or whatever it is. And it's really fucking painful. You're focused on it. You're looking at it. You're like, mother, that hurts, man. That hurts. And then something takes your attention somewhere else. Like something happens. And for those moments that your attention is somewhere else, you can't feel your finger anymore. The pain isn't there. And so is the pain there all the time, or is the pain only there when we give it attention and awareness and then it becomes a reality? Like that's a very real experience that I think everyone can connect to. And I'm not here to give you the answer. I'm just letting you know that that's the experience, right?
Yeah.
And so even physical suffering, I put down to attachment and identification because as soon as you're not identified to it, it's not there. It's not real, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you talk to so many people. Obviously, the older you get, the more common it is, but so many people that you talk to and you don't even know them, but all of a sudden they start telling you about, oh, well, I had this surgery and I'm rehabbing this and this is hurt, and it's just like that kind of becomes their identity, which is kind of sad. But again, no judgment, but it is tough to witness those situations and see what people are going through and the fact that they're so identified with that pain or that ailment that they have.
Yeah. I mean, and I can relate, dude. I went, I mean, and I'm interested to hear your journey. After I share this, I just want to bring it up so I don't forget, but your journey with your shoulder. But dude, so like and I've shared this with you, but like I had chronic pain in my left hip for like nearly 3 years. And it was from sitting down too much, like like when I used to have a 9 to 5 job and stuff like that, sitting down too much and not focusing enough on like stability and like all the different things, and just became hypermobile on the left side of my body. Didn't realize this anyway. And so like I would wake up every morning and the first thing I would do is check in with my pain and just be like, oh, how's it feeling today? Right. I was just so identified with that pain. At the same time, like I'm going through this awakening within me, and I know conceptually that this isn't helping. And so I'm continuing to like work both sides of it. Like I'm witnessing myself be completely identified with this pain at certain moments during the day. And then other moments during the day, not identified with it at all. And then other moments working towards healing it. Right. Both like physically and energetically. And so I can understand that. I can understand how hard it is to not identify with pain. But ultimately, what I learned was that it's okay to identify with pain in certain moments, just like everything's okay in life, right? Like it's not something to judge yourself over or get angry about, but like, what are you doing about it? Like, are you also like, is that all you're doing? Like just moments of like subconscious or unconscious like attachment and identification to the pain? Again, whether it's physical pain or other pain, or are you like, is that only the sometimes and most of the time you're feeling into the wholeness of the situation, right? And you're doing whether it's energetic or physical things in order to like heal that part of you, right? And that's kind of what I found a lot of power in, was just realizing that it there were some days where I found it really hard to wake up and not think about that first.
Mm.
But instead of having that define my day, then straight after that, going into meditation and flicking the switch, dude, and going a completely different direction, right? And I found that to be super helpful. What about you, dude? How'd that go with your shoulder when you dislocated your shoulder? What was that journey like?
Yeah, man, it was I don't think it was that tough for me, honestly. I'm one of those people that, I don't know, in my internal self-talk, I'm like, well, if it hurts, then do something about it,
Yeah.
like so anytime like I was worried about it, I would just go and try to and it also helps, like when I dislocated it, I was working for a physical therapy place, and I was in the industry, right? I was like in that
Mm-hmm.
healthcare space, and so I was thinking about it all the time. But yeah, I really never let it um define me. But what comes up for me when you're talking though is like, when you're sick, when I'm sick, you can choose to say like, oh, I'm sick, I feel terrible, and I can't do this, I can't do that. But I feel so much better when I'm sick, just getting out and like just doing stuff, like focusing on, like, even if it's like light exercise or a sauna or whatever, obviously you don't want to expose too many people, but just focusing on something else, and like just getting your mind off it helps me a ton.
Yeah.
And so anytime I'm sick, I try to get out, try to move, even if I'm not feeling well. I feel a million times better afterward.
Anyone that's listening to this and in your brain and your mind, you're fighting for your misery, just bring awareness to that. I just had that feeling come up and I had to share it. It's like, dude, like the amount of people that, I've shared a space with that like fight for their misery is fucking crazy, man. It's crazy. Like You'll be speaking love into their hearts and they'll just be fighting for their misery, man. Like, no, like I should feel fucking this way. And they're just so, again, just so identified to it. It's scary to imagine life without it in a way, right? Um, but I'm going to speak to that, man. Like, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up, as DeMello would say, right? Um, and not be the victim anymore and realize who you are. You are the creator, right? You have this power. And so use it and not only liberate yourself, but create a space where others can be liberated in it also, right? Wake up. uh, um, Next point, happiness is already there. So DeMello flips the conversational pursuit of happiness completely. You don't find happiness by getting what you want. Happiness is your natural state. It's just buried under layers of conditioning, fear, and desire. The work isn't to acquire anything, it's to drop things. I mean, yeah, dude, of course it is. Yeah, man. And again, like different people use different words to describe things, right? Um, and so that may be challenging sometimes for people when they hear the word happiness, the way he describes it. But ultimately, you can interchange that with peace or whatever it is, right? But ultimately, what he's trying to say is that there is a feeling that we get from a dopamine hit that when we do something and dopamine gets dropped and we're like, wow, that was cool, right? That's not what he's talking about. He's trying to let you guys know and let me know and let all of us know that when we remove the things that don't serve us, we are naturally happy. We are naturally joyful. We are naturally giving. We are naturally all the things that most people think a really nice, loving, caring person is. That's who we all are. We're very like nice, loving, and caring. Everyone is. Now, again, I'm not going to go down that road and explain why everyone is. Could get crazy. But ultimately, if everyone was to remove all the bullshit that's in the way, yes, that's what we would be. Some people have some really crazy bullshit. But ultimately, deep down, we're all sons and daughters of the universe, and we're all made of the same stuff, and we all desire the same things. And so, I agree with him, man. I feel the exact same way. What do you think?
Yeah, what comes up for me is gratitude. Really, like
Mm,
happiness is already there. To tap into it, just feel some gratitude. And I mean, the easiest thing for me is, again, it's not true for everybody, but just checking in with yourself and saying like, whoa, like it's pretty cool that my body is functioning the way it is, and I am alive, and I can feel, and I can see, and I can smell and hear and
hmm
move, and um, it's those basic things are things we take for granted all the time, but to be able to feel into gratitude for them allows us to tap into that happiness that is already there.
A beautiful point. It's a beautiful point. Reflecting on what is already there is a direct source of gratitude, happiness, and all of these things. And again, you didn't need to add anything. These things are already there and have always been there, which is super important, have always been there. You didn't acquire them in your life, right? Just super cool. Super, super cool.
Next one.
Yeah.
The problem with yourself. DeMello shares that the self most people protect so fiercely, their reputation, beliefs, self-image, is a fictional construct built by society and conditioning. Clinging to this false self is the root of most human conflict and misery.
I mean, I want to do an episode on this, but ultimately I'll just reference it. So like, a question that I ask everyone is just like, who are you? Right. And this is a question that we've all been asked many times in class, in sports, fucking by so many different people. And everyone has an answer for it. Oh, I'm Ben Panacasio and I'm this and I'm that. And I'm a son and I'm a husband and I'm a hunter and all these things. And everything that you're saying isn't you. It's an idea, it's a role, it's an experience that you've had. None of them are you. You were before all of these things. right? And it's pretty much what he's saying, right? Like we build this fictional character of who we are without ever truly listening to the question of who are you, right? And so who are you without all that stuff? Because again, that's stuff that you acquired. And that's a really beautiful question uh, to reflect on. And personally, it doesn't have an answer beyond our perspective. That is why we are here. Ramana Maharshi, very famous yogi, this was his whole thing. Uh, he wrote a book on it. This is his whole thing: is the question of who are you? And what he would say is, your life's pursuit is to continue to ask yourself that question without ever thinking that you found the answer. Just keep asking it and keep seeing where it takes you. And that's pretty much why we're here. We're not here to answer it here and now. We can't answer that question here and now in this place with these senses, so on and so forth. Again, I can answer it, but it doesn't make it right or real or true. Okay, it's just again my perspective, my belief. And so I've found insane amounts of power and clarity by just answering that question is like I don't know beyond the experience that I've had and knowing that that's limited. I'm not able to express who I am. I can express the things I've done, the experiences I've had, how I feel. I can express all of these beautiful things. But who am I? I don't know, but I'm going to keep searching. I'm going to keep seeking. I'm going to keep experiencing, see what happens, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it kind of also ties in with the attachment that we talked about not too long ago, attachment and identification.
Yeah.
Um,
It's scary, bro. Like, it can be scary for people to realize, I don't know who I am. Like, but it's the most freeing thing in the fucking world, dude. Like, you have no label, like, you have no limitation. Like, you are, you're completely a clean slate, dude. There is nothing. Go figure it out. You know what I mean? Go explore. Um, and never answer the question. And you can answer it, but never hold on to that answer too tightly, right? Just accept all the answers you get and explore all the answers you get and keep going and see what happens. Um, Next one, conditioning and programming. De Mello says from childhood, we are handed beliefs, values, and emotional responses by parents, culture, and religion. We then spend our entire lives defending and acting out this programming without ever questioning it. Yeah. Thoughts?
I just think, I think that's true for a lot of people. Um, and yeah, I mean, it is helpful to be able to take that and kind of analyze, what you've gone through and what your life's kind of presented to you. But um, I feel like me personally, I've kind of always questioned a lot of things. Um, so I don't necessarily think that's like 100% true for me. Like I've always, I don't know, maybe that's part of it. Maybe I've been programmed to question things.
But it's like, even if you questioned it, you were still handed beliefs, values, and emotional responses
Yeah.
and stuff. And yeah, right. So it's like the cool thing is that you're able to question it and not just like continue to take it as fact, right?
Mm.
Or just the way it is, which is a beautiful thing to be able to do, man. It's like, you know, I remember, early on in my life, like there was always this like other voice that would always question things, but then there was another part of me that was just like, don't question things, like this is the way it is, and I get it, man. Like I was judged for certain things, I was loved for other things, and so you want to be loved, and so you just like keep doing the things that get you loved and all this type of stuff, right? But now there really is no other way besides continuing to question, right? Like I feel like that is one of the main reasons we're here, um, is to a really cool concept that I resonate with. And again, I'm not here saying, "Oh my God, this is what I believe in," and I take this to the grave or anything like that. But it's just a really cool thing to envision, right? Like that there is a creator, right, of all things, and this creator desires to experience itself, but it can't experience itself by itself, and so it creates all that is in order to experience itself, right? To have the contrast in order to experience itself. And so a really cool concept is like that we are all like a part of this creator just experiencing itself in infinite ways. And I always thought that was like a really like cool theory that I feel into when I think about what we're talking about, right? And it's just like that means that all of these things, these beliefs, all of these things were created by the creator. All of these things were created by us in order to question things, in order to feel things, in order to experience the infinite myriad of things there are to experience in this realm, right? And so if that's the case, then cool. Um, I think what stunts that like adaptiveness or evolution is when we don't question, when we're like, I've found the answer. And it's just like, man, there's no room for movement there. That's not exciting at all, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
doesn't leave too much space for dialogue or for interpretation or
no, you completely like, you you'll just cut off the ability to actually experience things now, right? Like if experience is where you place your attention, just like we're talking about with the sore finger, right? And now you think that you know something, then you won't allow that into your experience anymore. So you'll completely miss out on like all of these beautiful things in reality, right? That's the way I see it anyway. And it's just keep the blinders off and just keep walking. Um, Observe it, see it, feel it, and then just kind of let it go to the side and keep walking, you know?
yeah, just be open pretty much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The role of suffering. De Mello says to sit with your suffering and observe it. Suffering is actually a signal pointing you toward an attachment or an illusion you haven't examined yet. In that sense, it's one of your greatest teachers.
Man, it's like we wrote this. It's like he's been listening to our podcast. Um, yeah, dude, for sure, 100%. Uh, I speak about it as the emotional guidance system, right? Suffering being one of those, emotions, or again, I wouldn't call suffering an emotion, but it's a conglomerate of emotions that make you feel suffering, right? Um, and so, yes, it has a lot to teach us. And if we're open students, then we'll learn those lessons. And if not, we'll continue to suffer until we're ready. As I say often, once you've suffered enough, you'll open up and want to learn the lesson. But until then, you'll probably just keep suffering. And that goes for everyone, including me. Uh, and man, there are a lot of things that I had to suffer really fucking hard, man, before I learned the lesson. And I'm sure there'll be more in the future. But it is nice to be aware of that and not demonize suffering anymore and try to escape from it. Like, get me out of here. It's like, uh, I'm causing my own suffering. So if I'm causing my own suffering, then I can't outrun myself. I just need to look in the mirror and figure out what's causing my suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's been a big thing I've, attached to, I guess, when I am going through rough times is to try to view that as a teacher and try to understand like even though this kind of sucks or like I might be feeling some sort of negative way about it, like this is happening for a reason and I'm, you know, I that's what I choose to believe, I'm
Yeah.
happening for a reason and it's here to teach me something.
I mean, ultimately, we can, talk about it any way we want, but we all have like beliefs. We all have theories that we connect to and stuff like that. It's just like, are we picking the ones that serve us? And are we open to like continuing to find new ones that serve us in different ways? And that's, pretty much what you're saying now. And yeah, I mean, I do the same thing, right? It's like, again, I can either choose faith or fear. And, I don't always choose faith. Sometimes fear is the choice that I want to make, right? Based on certain things, right? Sometimes fear is what gives me the information that I would want in that moment. It's not very often, but it is there. And it's a good choice sometimes for sure. But it should always be a choice and it should always be something that, you know, we are open to and reviewing like, all right, this is what's going to serve me in this moment. Um, and so, yeah, dude, I agree with you for sure. Change without force. One of the most beautiful ideas in the book, he says you cannot force yourself to change through willpower or discipline. Real transformation happens automatically when you simply see clearly. Awareness itself is the agent of change. You don't have to do anything except wake up and look honestly. So, like, yes and no. When I mean yes and no, it's just like it depends, like what level you're looking at it from in a way. And again, these things are hard to explain because they're kind of paradoxes, just like a lot of these lessons in life. But do you do anything to change? Yes, you do something to change. You do. Yes, you do something to change, right? You do. And so that's not what he's saying. Well, let me just tell you what I'm saying, and you can think what he says for yourself. But what I'm saying is like change comes from within. Once you see clearly and once you embody that clarity, then that drives your change. If you don't feel that clearly within you deeply, then no, you will never change. You will try to change. You will work hard at changing, but we haven't got the emotional, let me reword that. We haven't got the feeling that is required in order for us to change. Kind of going back to like dispenser, right? It's like that feeling is really important. That clarity within us is really important for us to change. And so, no amount of willpower, I feel, will ultimately change you without that clarity and emotional feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of there's a lot going on here when I'm in my brain.
Tell me.
Well, just like I don't know, the fact that like, oh yeah, well you can change your, your physical body through willpower and discipline, right? But that's not going to change your mental state, I don't think.
Well, yeah, but that's not what he's talking about. And so I
Right.
guess we should clarify what he's talking about. What do you think he's talking about?
Again, I haven't read the book, so
Gotcha. Well,
uh,
ultimately, like he's
smart.
talking about like your inner world, right? So pretty much like your ability to be your be the truest version of yourself,
Mm,
right? Which would obviously be love, uh, which would obviously be peaceful. And again, it's not that you don't experience the other things as well, but he's just saying that ultimately, if you're looking to change, you require clarity first, and then that will drive everything else.
mm,
But just focusing on what I need to do. So another way to say it would be like this, right? And I'll use Dispenza's like analogy to help people understand it. So I can take my physical body and move my physical body through matter, space, and time,
mm,
right? And I can get things done that way. And that's something I can do. So what you're talking about is that, yes, I can, with willpower, I can take this body and I can go do things. Okay.
mm,
That is separate to changing what is within this physical body, right? Because it doesn't matter where I take this body. It
mm,
doesn't matter how much willpower I have. In order for this to change, in order for this to change, right? This whole body and my beliefs and so on and so forth, then I have to, number one, my heart has to be on board and my brain has to be on board, right? So I have to have clarity within both of those things. And then it's like you're not even trying. I mean, everyone has to have had this experience, right? Where like you feel something so deeply that the action is just what happens. It's like there's nothing else you're going to do besides that because that's just what reality is now. And that's kind of what he's saying is just like, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've experienced in my life is just like, dude, when I get to that point of clarity, it's just like, there's nothing else that I'm going to fucking do right now.
mm.
Of course I'm going to change because this is just the way it is, you know?
Yeah. No, I like it. I like how you, yeah, kind of broke it down right there. But did you want to touch on anything else on that one, or ready to move
No,
on?
no, I'm done with that.
All right.
uh,
His critique of organized religion and spirituality. So he is surprisingly blunt about this, especially given he was a priest. But he warns that the religion and spiritual systems can become just another form of conditioning and attachment. He's not anti-spiritual, he's anti-dependence on any he's anti-dependent on any external authority for your own inner freedom. um, I can relate to this a lot. I was, as we've spoken about many times, I was raised in the church. My grandparents were missionaries, and again, I think that comes from, or that's a big reason why I like to question a lot of things. Um, but I think yeah, I think there's definitely a place for spirituality. I think it gives a lot of people peace. It gives a lot, but it can give a lot of people peace in that they just, or feel all cozy because of this. They go to church every Sunday or whatever. They're not really questioning and working and analyzing their,
Mm-hmm.
daily act. I mean, how you can just look at all the abuse that happens in the churches. It's pretty horrific. But it gives people that kind of cushy feeling where they're just like, oh, this is all I have to do, and then I'll go to heaven or whatever whatever the belief is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what he says is, I mean, I don't think it can be any more accurate, right? With like, he just warns that religion and spirituality systems can become just another form of conditioning and attachment, right? Doesn't mean that they can become them, right? And that's, of course, very true. Uh, I just personally feel that if we, I just feel that like if we are giving away everything to a belief system, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I'm not talking about religion right now. Just talking about everything, religion included in it, as if I am unworthy compared to this thing. I need this thing in order to feel a certain way. I mean, that to me is just not serving. It's not that you're not going to learn anything from that. You're going to learn a lot from that, hopefully. But ultimately, it's not a balanced place in which we can exist in a way that we would like to. Because again, we have given away, we've become a victim now again, like by association, right? Because if we're so identified and attached to this belief system, then ultimately that is in control. And if that is in control, then it gives us so many excuses, dude. Like so many excuses. And just doesn't allow us to look in the mirror in a way that I think we have to. Like we have to be able to like look in the mirror and not give anything away to anything else, but take all of it on for ourselves. And that doesn't mean you can't have beliefs or religion and stuff like that. Again, that's fine. But just check yourself in regards to like your identification. Check yourself in regards to your attachment to it. Um, and they can be really healthy things that bring a lot of goodness into this world. But again, as soon as you create attachment to them and identification with them, I mean, they're responsible for some of the most horrific things that have ever happened on planet Earth.
Yeah, look
And
what's going
so,
on now, man.
yeah, so it's like, you have both sides of that there, right? And the distinctive factor is what he's talking about, which is it just becomes another program, another conditioning, another attachment, right? So,
All
all
right.
right, last couple, dude. The challenge of his message. For some people, this book can be deeply uncomfortable to read. He doesn't comfort you, he confronts you. Some people find it hard to receive that. Do you find it hard to like receive like confronting people? Like people that have like a strong way of expressing themselves? I mean, they may not be argumentative or anything like that, right? Because this guy doesn't come off as argumentative to me when I read him. He just comes off as like very passionate and a matter of fact about like his experience and like what he feels into and what he sees reality being. And a lot of it resonates with not only me, but for a lot of people. But I've come across a few people that I've shared things with, whether it be him or Bentinho, is another one that I share to people, and some people find them hard to digest. And for me, that just lets me know how good how good of a mirror they both are. You know what I mean? Because it's like if it's bringing up shit within you, then to me they're just, like they're the clearest mirrors, dude. They're the like that's the mirror I want to look in. Um, and so that's why I enjoy their work so much. Have you ever had that experience, or does that make sense for you?
No, 100%. I mean, you've challenged me many times, you personally. Um, and I love it. And again, maybe it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. Growing up playing sports is,
Yeah,
gives you a little bit of a thicker skin, um, but I think like exactly what you said. Like it's like, okay, well, if it challenges me, like why does it challenge me?
yeah,
And so then you start thinking like inward, and like then
yeah.
it's okay, well, let me analyze this, or let me think about this for a second. And I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the times that you've challenged me, and I think I'm better for it. So
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. But yeah, it's like not like, and that's not possible. Like that question that you just asked yourself, that's not possible if we don't take ownership.
mm,
Going back to like one of the points he made earlier in the book, right? It's just like if we don't take ownership and we're like, oh no, like I'm not responsible for the way that I feel, then you're not even going to ask yourself that question. But that's
mm,
such a fucking important question to ask yourself, right? As soon as you feel any which way about something, it shouldn't be like, oh fuck them, or like he's so rude. It's like, no, dude, like why am I feeling this way? You know, knowing that 100 people could have heard the exact same thing that that person said, and not all are going to react the way you did. Not all are going to react the way I did. And, I'm not making it about them, just creating that reality for us to understand that it's not what they said that carries the feeling, it's how we interpret it. And we interpret it through our own filters. And so we should be asking questions about our filters.
mm.
what filters did I put on, man? you know? All right, the last one. I'll just read this one out. So the bottom line he keeps coming back to in this book is observe everything, label nothing as good or bad, drop your need for approval, your attachments, and your identification with your thoughts. What remains when all of this falls away is what he calls your true self. And that, he says, is already free. So, yes, with the caveat that easily written down, simple, but again, something that most of us will never achieve in this lifetime. And when I say not achieve, it's not that you won't experience that. Yes, you will. But this idea of experiencing it in every moment of every day is just not what I feel should be taken from texts like this. I feel like a lot of people read these books and they're just like, sometimes they come out of it feeling worse about themselves because like now they're like, oh, but I can't do that all the time. I still feel this and I still feel that. It's like, yeah, of course you fucking do, man. Everyone does. Everyone does, man. Um, Again, we did an episode on enlightenment. Go back and check that one out because, like, to me, there is no reality where I spend every single moment of every single day for the rest of my life in this place of like love and bliss. It's like, no, man, that's not what this is. That's not what this experience is that we're having on this earth. Contrast is important. Polarity is important. We can experience it more consistently, yes. And when we experience the other things, we can learn to love those also, yes. And so that all of these things that feel very hard for us now don't feel so heavy and hard, yes. But we still experience them, it's still part of this experience, you know? So, yeah.
I love it, man. I don't really have much to add to that. I thought you summed it up really well.
Thank you, brother. um, I I'm having fun with these like book like breakdowns, dude. They like have a lot of really cool concepts for us to like dig into, you know?
Mm. Absolutely.
Um, and I hope people listening are enjoying them too. I mean, again, like these are fucking epic books that, hopefully you will read, but if you don't, you just got an epic lesson on it.
Yeah.
And so you can take a lot from it, you know? So, well, Dan, as always, appreciate you for being my partner in crime. And I'll see you in a couple of days, bro.
Hell yeah. Love you, brother.
All right, love you too.